Another thing that you shouldn't wait for, if you see a drastic change in your pet, if you go to touch your pet and they wince, they whine, they try to bite even, they growl, then there could be something painful going on. Maybe they've jumped down from something and they've hurt their back. Maybe they've injured a leg. But if your pet is acting aggressive towards you, other pets, then chances are they're painful and there's something going on, and that should be addressed right away.
Good things to watch out for. Thank you.
Welcome to CooLife Podcast, brought to you by therealthingdating.com. www.therealthingdating.com. I'm Eva John. I'm a former candidate for local government. I was a children's television entertainer, and I love this world, and I believe we should take care of each other and have a lot of fun along the way. Welcome to CooLife. Here we go.
And welcome to CooLife Podcast. I'm Eva John. Today we are continuing with part 2 of my interview with Dawn Drake, Veterinary Technician. Dawn, welcome back.
Thanks, Eva.
And Dawn, how should people reach out to you if they have further questions about their pets and pet care?
You can reach me through my email at AnimalCareWithDawn@hotmail.com.
Thank you. It's fantastic that we can continue this conversation about pet care and pet health. And it's such a key thing these days where pets really are like family members to many, many pet owners. And the relationships are such that we care about what our cats and dogs are experiencing, and our little budgie birds, that they're not just there as decor in the room. Now, there are times when health concerns come up. When should a pet owner realize that an issue with their pet's health is something that is an emergency?
So several things to look out for. If a pet is vomiting and has diarrhea, that is a big sign that, something is going on. Maybe they got into something. But if they're vomiting and diarrheaing, you cannot wait like days and days for an appointment. You need to get that addressed, especially if they're not eating. Cats can go downhill pretty quickly when they're not eating. So if those situations arise, that's something that just isn't something you should wait for. Another thing that you shouldn't wait for, if you see a drastic change in your pet, if you go to touch your pet and they wince, they whine, they try to bite even, they growl, then there could be something painful going on. Maybe they've jumped down from something and they've hurt their back. Maybe they've injured a leg. But if your pet is acting aggressive towards you, other pets, then chances are they're painful and there's something going on, and that should be addressed right away.
Good things to watch out for. Thank you. Now, are there certain seasonal health issues that a pet owner should be aware of throughout the course of a year?
Yes, for sure. In the winter, we have the obviously not going outside when it's too cold for long periods. Pets can get frostbite on their feet. So in the wintertime, we just need to be cautious about how long they spend out in extreme temperatures. And this winter, we did have extreme temperatures. So absolutely, we need to be cautious of that in the winter. The spring and the summer bring the whole other ball game with fleas and ticks. Unfortunately, ticks are active over 3 degrees, so it could still be cool and ticks are active. So fleas generally are when spring is warming up, we start to see a lot of fleas come out. as well as I've already seen my first mosquito. We've had this extreme winter and I've already seen mosquitoes. So, like I had previously mentioned, mosquitoes can transmit heartworm disease by biting an infected animal and then going and biting your dog and passing on the disease to your dog. Fleas and ticks can cause diseases. We have gone over those. Lyme disease. You can get heartworm from the mosquitoes. From ticks, you can get anaplasmosis and can get Ehrlichia, like we previously had talked about. These diseases can be fatal. The anaplasmosis and the Ehrlichia, they cause severe lethargy, vomiting, diarrhea, loss of appetite. It can make them anemic. It can affect their whole overall health. So very important to keep up on your flea and tick protection, getting your 4DX heartworm checks to check for the 3 tick diseases as well as your heartworm is very important. And then putting them on seasonal protection from the time you're seeing it warm up for fleas and ticks, and heartworm when we're starting to see mosquitoes. Very important to start. It used to be a 6-month thing, but because of our extreme weather changes in Canada, myself, I do it 8 to 9 months a year because of the risk of ticks still being there. If you are interested, you can go online. The government does track ticks in your particular area. You can find out how many cases of tick diseases are in your area just by Googling that on the government website will tell you that information.
Fantastic. Now, for just a seasonal thing with winter, it seems really basic. If you take your dog out, and some people, as we said, can take the cat out for a walk. When there's salt on the sidewalks and on the roads, and your dog or cat is out, what happens when they're getting that exposure of the salt onto the pads of their feet?
That's a great question. So we recommend that you use pet-friendly salt, eco-friendly salt. So not only are we not harming our pets' pads, we're not harming the environment, but a lot of businesses, a lot of people, they're just using regular old salt.
Right.
Now, salt can actually burn the pads of their feet. It's very, very painful. So if you're walking your dog down a sidewalk and you see a massive amount of salt, go take an alternative route. Or if you have a small dog, simply pick them up until you get to a safe area to put them down. But absolutely, salt can cause damage and pain to your animals. So avoid it at all costs.
Now, is it worthwhile getting those little booties, or is that more of a risk if they can slip with those on?
So the booties are great, but some dogs just aren't going to have it. You can try and try. They will flip them off. If you do have one of those animals that will wear them, absolutely a great idea. But some animals, if you can manage to get them on, will walk in a weird kind of way. So they might get used to them if you walk them enough in them, but more power to you. If your dog will use them, go ahead. It's a great idea.
Great, and thank you. Right now, we'll take a break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. Please remember to write us at info@CooLifeWorld.com. That's info@COOLIFEWorld.com, and we will read your comments on a future show. Right now, we'll take a break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. We'll be back with more Dawn Drake and Pet Talk on CooLife Podcast.
Spiritual Warfare Prayers by John Evans, $13.99 US, available on Amazon. Link in the description. Putting on the spiritual armaments to thrive in this world. These are fresh prayers for today's world. $13.99 US, available on Amazon. See the link in the description. Spiritual Warfare Press. Becoming the Small Business Billionaire by Russell T. Dalton. Available on Amazon. Link in the description. $13.95 US. This is your guide to the possibility of making your dreams of generational wealth come true through small business ownership. Change your life and the lives of those you care for. Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. You're listening to the CooLife Podcast. We'll be back in 3, 2, 1.
And we are back on the CooLife Podcast. I'm Eva John, continuing with my conversation with Dawn Drake, veterinary technician. Dawn, our little pet birds, do they get parasites the way dogs and cats do?
It's similar. Dogs and cats can catch internal parasites from each other. Birds can also do the same. Now, if you have a bird that's obviously a captive bird in a cage and it's not socializing with any other wild birds, or if you haven't introduced a new bird into the cage and we know it's parasite free, what we're looking for to keep them parasite free is not giving them anything contaminated like food, water, and being exposed to other birds' feces. So that brings up, when you are introducing a new bird into your household, if you're going to be introducing them physically in the same cage, then we should kind of keep them quarantined until you do take them to a vet, have their feces tested for any internal parasite that they might pass on to the other bird.
Well, so that's good to know and good preparation for sure. So mental health in pets isn't discussed as often as their physical health is discussed. With a pet, can stress and anxiety affect their overall health?
Absolutely. They suffer from stress and anxiety just like we do. When I did previously mention that I rescued the dog Kevin from the Dominican Republic, when he did get here, he was exhibiting signs of depression, anxiety. It did turn into a little bit more because he was sick, but animals can be stressed out. He left a country that he was familiar with, a warm climate that he was familiar with. He left the person who rescued him. So there was a lot of factors that were contributing to poor little Kevin when he came here. Now, to avoid anxiety, stress, we can't always avoid it, obviously. If we're moving, that puts a lot of stress and anxiety on your animals. But just with their day-to-day life, keeping them mentally stimulated so they don't go in depression. A depressed dog can exhibit signs of aggression, acting out by, you leave your home and you come back and they've ripped apart your couch for
Right.
whatever reason, stress and anxiety. So just keeping them mentally stimulated, keeping them active, exercise is key. If you have, and this goes to picking the right pet for your lifestyle. If you have a more sedate lifestyle, you're not going to want to get a lab who needs to run daily to burn off that anxiety and that energy. You're going to want to get like a Shih Tzu or something that wants to sit on your lap. So exercise is key. toys, keeping them mentally stimulated with activities, treat balls that you can provide food into, just keeping them mentally stimulated. When I leave the house, I always have music playing or the TV playing for them, just so they're stimulated and they're not in complete silence.
Thank you for those tips. Now, within a home, sometimes there are household items or even food that's toxic, and your cat and dog can interact with those things, and it can be dangerous for them. Now, what are some of the common toxins and things that could be more of a danger that should be immediately removed from your pet's environment?
So especially in garages, you'll find people that just have antifreeze and oils sitting in pans from changing fluids on their vehicles. Antifreeze is deadly. So if you do have any antifreeze, make sure it is stored in a compartment where your animals can't get out of it. So if we do have chemicals like antifreeze or other toxic chemicals, cleaning chemicals, we want to make sure that they're stored in a space that the animal cannot access. Cupboards, locked cupboards, high cupboards, just so we don't have to consider or even worry about that risk. Now, a lot of things that people don't realize that are toxic are common household plants. The list is so extensive. Like, I can list a few of them: lilies, snake plants, hydrangeas, aloe plants, just to name a few. But if you're interested in Googling what plants that you do have at home to make sure that they're not toxic, if they are toxic, you can either move them to a spot where the animal cannot access them, a little bit harder with cats, but you could just get rid of the toxin altogether, the house plant, if you're that concerned about your animals getting into toxic plants. There's so many toxic foods. Again, you would have to look that up because the list is so extensive. You have everything from grapes, chocolate, garlic, onions that can cause GI upset, vomiting, diarrhea, things like that. So you just want to make sure whatever they're eating is safe. Like, I made the mistake when I was young, before I was a veterinary technician, of giving my dogs grapes. So that was something that I did that just I didn't know about. So being educated on what's toxic in your home, you simply go online, Google toxic foods for dogs and cats, toxic plants for dogs and cats.
Okay.
But most chemical products, cleaning products, are toxic and should be stored in a safe place regardless.
For sure. And well, that one is new for me. For grapes, do not give your dogs grapes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that, we'll take a break to talk about our sponsors and supporters. We'll be back with Dawn Drake on CooLife Podcast.
Spiritual Warfare Prayers by John Evans, $13.99 US, available on Amazon. Link in the description. Putting on the spiritual armaments to thrive in this world. These are fresh prayers for today's world. $13.99 US, available on Amazon. See the link in the description. Spiritual Warfare Prayers. Becoming the Small Business Billionaire by Russell T. Dalton. Available on Amazon. Link in the description. $13.95 US. This is your guide to the possibility of making your dreams of generational wealth come true through small business ownership. Change your life and the lives of those you care for. Those lonely days of lockdowns and isolation are gone for good. Go to www.therealthingdating.com. That's www.therealthingdating.com. It's time to share. Share your time, share your life, share your love. www.therealthingdating.com. Join for free. Upgrade at any time, starting at just $5.99 a month. www.therealthingdating.com. Because it's time. This is CooLife Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to CooLife on your streaming service and on YouTube as Hellenique Today. That's HELENIQUE Today. Because that helps us to bring more cool stuff to your ears. You're listening to the CooLife Podcast. We'll be right back.
And we are back on CooLife Podcast. I'm Eva John, continuing my conversation with Dawn Drake, veterinary technician. Dawn, pets require slightly different care as they age, as they become senior citizens. What should a pet owner be doing to adjust to the changes that would be needed as their dogs and cats and birds get a little older?
So definitely, just like people, as you age, you can develop mobility issues, arthritis, limping. So those are things you want to look out for. Even prevention is great for that. Omega-3s, chondroitin and glucosamine are great. Just preventatives to help them as they do age with their mobility. Things that you can also help if you have a senior pet that's having mobility, ramps and stairs to get up and down off the couch. A ramp if your stairs going outside are a little bit too much for them to handle. You can put a ramp to avoid the stairs. A lot of dogs, if you've only got flooring in your house, their feet tend to slip as they get older. You can put runners in your hallways, wherever they tend to go, just so they're not slipping on that floor, because that can also cause further injury if they are slipping and falling.
Of course, right.
Other issues that are unseen that they can develop are thyroid issues, diabetes. So if your pet is losing weight, it's very important to have routine blood work checked. If there's a change in their appetite, their urination, always a good idea when they're senior to have blood work done just to check to make sure everything's functioning properly. Because they do age so much quicker than us, these issues can pop up from year to year when they're seniors. You might say, oh, I had blood work last year on my 13-year-old dog. I don't need to do it this year. But things can change so much. Like at 13, it's like us not going to the vet for 7 years, or our doctor for 7 years, and then expecting things to be the exact same when we went 7 years prior. So definitely things can change as they get older. Sometimes it's subtle enough that you're not even picking up on it. So great idea to have a routine blood work when you're a senior.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, Dawn, right now there's such a boom of information sources with telehealth information and online pet care advice. And those are becoming more and more common, and they're just a click away. How should a pet owner be selecting what kind of information they're paying attention to that they're finding online?
Well, Google isn't always right, number one, because anybody can post anything. So what you want to look for when you're looking for things online is credited people. And is this person promoting a product? Let's say we had a very accredited vet, but they're trying to pump a product. So that might not be your best information source. If you have an accredited person that's actually in the field, that's just doing it not to push products, it's best to go with people that are accredited, that know what they're talking about, just as long as they're not pushing something for a financial gain.
Right. I know it's a little bit of a hazy line when you are talking, or when you are getting information from someone that is, you've got a title, that they're a doctor or something, but in the end they do want you to use a particular product. You can always just find that product from anybody or search it out on Amazon. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to keep that in mind. And Don, if a pet owner feels that something is not quite right with their pet, they can't quite put their finger on it, they're not certain what it is, but they feel something is off.
So, the best thing to do, you know your pet better than the vet, right? So if you know something's off, then pretty good idea to go to a vet and get them checked out. Like that goes back to the blood work. Start with some blood work to see if there's anything off in your internal organs. That's a great place to start. You don't have to start with everything that the vet comes back with that estimate, from the blood work to x-rays. It's good to have a starting point. And if we get our information from the blood work, then we know what we have. If we don't get our information from the blood work, then we can move on to different testing. But what a lot of pet owners do is like just agree to everything. And you might have just got your answers from the blood work. So do things systematically. But if you feel that your pet isn't acting normal, then you're the best judge of that because you're with them every day.
Of course. Well, those are good tips on how to assess your pet's needs. And with that, we are at the end of the second part of my conversation with Don Drake. Don, if someone wants to reach out to you with questions, what should they do? What email should they be using?
You can email me at AnimalCareWithDawn@hotmail.com.
Thank you. And keep an eye out for part 3 of my 4-part conversation with Don Drake. Until next time, I'm Eva John for CooLife Podcast. Bye.
And that was our show. Thank you for listening to the very end. Please remember to subscribe through your streaming service to get more access to our guest interviews. Also, please subscribe on YouTube to help support our podcast. Until next time, I'm Eva John for CooLife Podcast. Thank you for turning me on.